Everything you experience in life is a reflection of what you assume to be true. The outer world is not separate from you, but a mirror of the beliefs you hold deep within your consciousness. The way you see yourself, the way you define your relationships, and the way you interpret events are all governed by the assumptions you carry. These assumptions are not idle thoughts. They are creative forces shaping your reality in every moment. A woman who believes she has no friends is not merely observing a fact. She is assuming a state of being. She is not just alone, she is embodying loneliness. Her mind does not say, I am currently by myself, but rather, I am a person without companionship, unwanted, disconnected. And because the world can only show her the truth of what she believes, she continues to experience the same isolation, reinforcing her original assumption. Every assumption, whether conscious or unconscious, generates its own proof. If she assumes that she is invisible, people will overlook her. If she assumes that others do not care for her, she will encounter indifference. If she assumes that making friends is difficult, every interaction will confirm her struggle. It is not that life is deliberately cruel, nor that she is inherently unworthy of companionship, but that she is unknowingly creating from within. The moment she begins to shift her assumption, her reality must change. If she starts to see herself as someone who is loved, valued, and surrounded by meaningful connections, the world will reflect this new state. But she cannot wait for evidence before she believes it. She must assume it first. She must feel now what she wishes to experience outwardly. She must walk as if she is already embraced by friendship, as if the love and warmth she seeks are already hers. The subconscious mind does not question. It accepts whatever is impressed upon it. If she continuously tells herself that she is alone, that is the reality it will produce. But if she instead saturates her mind with the new inner dialogue, one that speaks of inclusion, joy, and deep companionship, her world must reshape itself to match. There is no other possibility, for assumption is law. She does not need to force friendships into being, nor chase after approval. She needs only to assume the role of a woman who is loved, and life will rearrange itself accordingly. Her words, her energy, and her presence will shift. She will find herself drawn to conversations she once avoided. She will notice smiles where before she saw coldness. Opportunities for connection will arise effortlessly, not because the world has changed, but because she has changed. Assumption is not wishful thinking. It is the foundation upon which reality stands. The world is not responding to her wishes, but to her certainty. The moment she fully embodies the feeling of being connected, that reality is already hers, waiting for her recognition. There is a profound difference between solitude and isolation, yet many confuse the two. One is chosen, the other is imposed. One is a state of inner peace, the other a condition of lack. Solitude is the embrace of one's own company, the ability to sit in silence and feel whole. Isolation, on the other hand, is the feeling of being cut off, unwanted, unseen. The distinction lies not in the physical condition of being alone, but in the inner experience of it. A woman may find herself without friends, but whether she is in solitude or isolation is determined by how she perceives her aloneness. If she believes she is unloved, if she feels disconnected and believes companionship is beyond her reach, then she exists in a state of isolation. It is not the absence of people that creates this feeling, but the assumption that she is separate from the flow of life, from love, from warmth, from isolation is the prison of the mind, a self-imposed exile built from thoughts of rejection and lack. It is when she looks at her phone and sees no messages, when she walks through a crowd and feels invisible, when she convinces herself that she is forgotten. In this state, every experience confirms her belief. She watches friends gather without her. She hears laughter that does not include her, and she assumes she does not belong. Yet, these are not mere coincidences. They are manifestations of an inner assumption that she is alone. Solitude, however, is entirely different. It is the ability to be alone without feeling lonely. It is a state of wholeness where a woman does not seek external validation to feel complete. She does not fear silence, for in it she finds strength. She does not resist her own company, for she knows that she is enough. The woman who embraces solitude does not wait for others to make her feel connected. She already feels connected within herself. And because she assumes her own completeness, the world must reflect that back to her. The shift from isolation to solitude is not about gaining more friends, nor about filling the space with distractions. It is about changing the perception of self. The moment a woman begins to see her aloneness as an opportunity rather than a curse, she steps into power. She recognizes that the feeling of lack was never about the absence of people, but about the absence of self-acceptance. She stops seeking outward and begins to cultivate within. She becomes her own source of joy, her own source of love, and in doing so, she naturally attracts others who resonate with her newfound energy. The woman in solitude does not wait to be chosen. She chooses herself. She does not seek approval. She gives it to herself. She does not fear time spent alone, for she understands that within that space, she holds the key to everything she has ever desired. Everything a person experiences in life is nothing more than a reflection of their inner world. The circumstances, the people, the relationships, the opportunities, or the lack of them, all are mirrors reflecting the assumptions, beliefs, and emotions a person holds deep within. The world does not operate independently of the self. It is shaped and molded by the state of consciousness one maintains. What a person consistently feels, assumes, and believes about themselves is what they will see materialize in the external reality. A woman who believes she has no friends is not merely observing a neutral reality, she is creating it. If she assumes that people do not like her, she will carry herself in a way that repels connection. She may avoid eye contact, hesitate to speak, or interpret neutral responses as rejection. These subtle behaviors confirm her inner belief, and so the world reflects it back to her in the form of cold interactions, unanswered messages, or feelings of exclusion. She may think that these events prove her assumption correct, not realizing that they are simply the physical manifestation of what she already believed to be true. A different woman, one who assumes she is loved, valued, and naturally magnetic, experiences an entirely different world. She does not second guess whether she belongs. She knows she does. She walks into a room and expects warmth, and so warmth is what she receives. She speaks to people with the confidence that she is worth knowing, and people respond accordingly. She does not wait for evidence to confirm that she is liked. She assumes it first, and because she assumes it, life must arrange itself to prove her right. The world does not determine what a person believes. It only reflects what has already been assumed as true. If a woman sees herself as unworthy, the world cannot help but mirror back experiences that validate that belief. If she believes she is always overlooked, she will find herself ignored. If she feels like an outsider, she will constantly see barriers between herself and others. But the moment she changes the way she sees herself, the world must shift to align with her new assumption. There is no external force withholding friendships, love, or connection from her. The only thing standing between her and the life she desires is the inner story she tells herself. If she changes that story, if she begins to feel and assume that she is cherished, appreciated, and surrounded by meaningful relationships, then reality has no choice but to conform. Her posture changes, her voice carries warmth, her presence becomes inviting. People respond to her differently, not because they have changed, but because she has. The woman who understands that the world is her mirror does not beg for love, attention, or approval. She knows that everything she seeks must first be cultivated within. She no longer reacts to circumstances as if they are happening to her, but recognizes that they are happening through her, shaped by her own state of being. The words a person speaks to themselves in silence shape their entire reality. Every moment there is an inner dialogue running within the mind, whether consciously or unconsciously. These thoughts determine how a person feels, how they act, and ultimately what they experience in the world. The mind is always listening, always accepting what it is told, and always molding life to match the dominant internal narrative. A woman who desires connection, love, and companionship must first examine the story she tells herself when no one is listening. If she constantly repeats, "No one cares about me, I am always left out," or "I don't belong," then that becomes the script by which her life unfolds. The mind does not question whether these statements are true, it only seeks to prove them. As a result, she unknowingly behaves in ways that reinforce her beliefs. She may withdraw from conversations, assume rejection before it even happens, or misinterpret neutral interactions as signs of exclusion. The more she affirms her loneliness, the more life reflects it back to her. But if she begins to change her inner conversation, everything shifts. Instead of reaffirming isolation, she starts to tell herself, "I am valued, people enjoy my presence, and I am surrounded by love and support." At first, these words may feel unnatural, as if they are lies. But the mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It only accepts what is persistently impressed upon it. If she continues to repeat new empowering thoughts, they begin to take root. Her emotions change, her energy shifts, and soon the world mirrors this new state of being. The transformation does not require external validation. She does not need someone else to say, "You are loved," before she believes it. She must say it to herself first. She must hear her own voice speaking kindness and affirmation into her subconscious mind. Instead of mentally preparing for rejection, she imagines warmth. Instead of expecting to be ignored, she assumes she is welcomed. Instead of doubting herself, she speaks to herself as one who is already embraced by friendship and love. This inner shift is not about forcing others to act differently. It's about becoming a new version of herself, one who naturally attracts what she desires. When she changes the way she speaks to herself, her posture changes, her presence softens, her energy becomes inviting. People begin to notice her differently, not because they suddenly changed, but because she did. The words she chooses within shape the reality she lives without. If she desires a different experience, she must start by adjusting the way she speaks to herself. The mind will believe whatever it is told most often, and life will reflect that belief. Whether she continues to affirm loneliness or steps into the assumption of love and connection is entirely within her control. Every desire a person holds already exists in the unseen realm of imagination. The key to bringing it into physical reality is to live in the state of the wish fulfilled, to embody now the feeling of already having what is desired. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It only responds to the dominant assumption that is impressed upon it. To live in the end is to abandon the present conditions, to stop reacting to what is seen, and instead to fully assume that the desired outcome is already true. A woman who believes she has no friends may look at her life and see an absence of companionship. If she continues to dwell on this lack, if she constantly notices her empty social calendar, the silence of her phone, or the feeling of being overlooked, then she is only reinforcing the state she wishes to escape. She may long for deep friendships, but if her inner world is saturated with feelings of loneliness, then loneliness is what she will continue to experience. The external world is always an echo of the internal state, and as long as she assumes she is alone, that is the reality. Life will reflect. Living in the end requires a shift away from appearances and into assumption. Instead of seeing herself as someone who lacks friends, she must step into the version of herself who is already surrounded by love and connection. She must ask herself, if I already had the friendships I desire, how would I feel? How would I act? How would I carry myself? Then she must begin to think, speak, and behave from that state. She does not wait for circumstances to change before she changes. She changes first, and circumstances follow. The woman who lives in the end walks through life as if she is already embraced by companionship. She no longer approaches interactions with fear or hesitation because she knows she is valued. She no longer feels awkward in social settings because she assumes she belongs. She no longer interprets silence as rejection because she trusts that she is always remembered and appreciated. Though nothing in her external world may yet confirm this shift, she remains unwavering in her assumption, knowing that life must conform to her new state of being. The mind will resist at first, trying to pull her back into old patterns of doubt and fear. It will remind her of past experiences, whispering, "Look, no one has called you. You are still alone." But she does not entertain these thoughts. Instead, she persists in the feeling of already having, already being, already experiencing the friendships she desires. She affirms, "I am surrounded by love. I am included. I am cherished." She holds on to this assumption with unwavering faith, and soon the outer world begins to shift. People reach out, invitations appear, new friendships form, not because she chased them, but because she became the version of herself who already had them. Nothing in life is predetermined, and no force outside of yourself has the power to dictate your future. Every moment, with every thought and every belief, you are shaping the course of your life. Your destiny is not written in the stars, nor is it controlled by fate, luck, or the opinions of others. It is shaped entirely by the assumptions you hold, the inner conversations you engage in, and the state of being you choose to embody. The world does not impose conditions upon you. You impose them upon yourself through what you accept as true. A woman who believes she is destined to be alone will continue to experience loneliness, not because it is her fate, but because she unknowingly creates it. She assumes that friendships are difficult, that people do not notice her, that she is always left out. These beliefs may seem like observations, but in reality, they are self-imposed limitations that shape her world. She may say, this is just the way things are, but she does not realize that they are only that way because she continues to accept them as true. If she were to shift her assumption, if she were to declare that she is loved, included, and valued, life would reorganize itself to reflect this new belief. The idea that one's destiny is fixed is an illusion. There is no external script that must be followed, no role that cannot be rewritten. The moment a person decides to assume a new reality, they step into a new destiny. The woman who once believed she was invisible can become the woman who is radiant and magnetic. The one who thought she was unloved can become the one who is cherished. The one who feared rejection can become the one who is naturally embraced. The only thing that determines which version of herself she experiences is what she dares to assume as true. It is not about external effort, nor about forcing people to change. It is about shifting within, deciding that from this moment forward, she will only accept a reality that aligns with her highest vision. She does not need to beg for love, to chase after approval, or to wait for circumstances to convince her. She declares it within, she believes it fully, and life responds. The people, the relationships, the opportunities, all of it moves to reflect the new assumption she has chosen. Most live their lives unaware that they're the creators of their own experience. They blame circumstances, hold on to past wounds, and believe they are powerless. But the truth is, every person holds infinite power within them. The only limitation is what they are willing to believe. The woman who recognizes this truth stops waiting for something outside of her to change. She takes control of her inner world, knowing that as she does, everything else must shift to match. She becomes the author of her own story, the creator of her own path, and the master of her own destiny. The world you experience is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. If you assume loneliness, life will confirm it. If you assume love and connection, they must appear. Your destiny is not dictated by circumstances, but by your willingness to believe in a new reality. Change your inner conversation, live in the end, and embody the version of yourself who is already surrounded by friendship and love. The power has always been in your hands. You are not at the mercy of life. Life is at the mercy of your assumptions. Dare to believe differently, and so it shall be.